nothing's new. Like everything's been made. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it, like I said, I think this is I think that thing was something that like they're that kind of like square blocky like patch thing, like where it was like the kind of like not even trying to like make like I'm going out of my way to make this obvious was like I hear what you're saying. I just like I don't know if I definitely was never like I guess it just, what I mean to say is it came from my heart. Like I never really knew why I was doing it when I started it, you know, like that way. It was just like, I'm going to do this. I mean, like I just saw it and had to do it the first time. And I was like, and then it was like, that was cool. I liked what it did. And then I've tried to imitate myself since then, but I don't think I'm ripping anybody off. But I mean, like, that's all there is like, you know, kind of like taking a concept or an idea from here and mashing it with a concept from a million years ago, maybe, or 100 years ago, and that's what I mean. Like my brand name, like Farmhaus, is literally a mashup, you know, of styles. Like, you know, the whole name implies like that whole like just kind of like juxtaposition.
It could go down to a conversation about painting in the sense that, like, when you're painting, you start off with a canvas and acrylic oil, whatever you have. But like, how like debilitating is that as a painter today to like start doing that? Like, now I can do something original. Like, kind of like woodworking, right? It's that same conversation where, like, you just said everything's been done, but people argue that with painting all the time and like everything else. So it's kind of cool that,
you know. Yeah, painting's not dead. That was an argument from a long time ago.
Definitely not. But like,
yeah. I just say it's just like it's so hard to like. I definitely don't want to like say out loud like this is my thing. This is my thing. Nobody else is doing my thing. Like this is my thing. Like right because I'm like it's just. It is my thing, and this is what I'm doing. But like, I don't know if I'm like, it's not informed by anybody else. Like nobody told me to do it this way. I'm just like doing it this way. But I also think there's other people out there, and I don't even know who they are, you know. But I see stuff, and I'm like, oh, that guy's kind of doing what I do. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of on the same trip. You know, I see that sometimes, and I'm like, and so I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Are we like? There's other shapers like me out there making the same boards, right? Like, where are they getting their messages? Like, where are they getting their ideas from? Like, and I'm like, is it collective? Is it?
What came first, right? Like coffee table or your Elia?
What came first?
Yeah,
the Elia came before everything. Like honestly, like my first Elia. I was like. I told you my friend Tim Swart at Univ. I went out and visited him. I came back to Philly and I was like kind of like working on my own house. And then I kind of ran into some like I was working down in LBI because I was out of work in Philly. I didn't have anything going on. So I was working for my brother down in Philly. Or out down in LBI, and he has been like building his business as like a home builder ever since I left LBI. He's like and he was working, you know, like just a carpenter working for a guy, and he was like, you know, like I can do this myself, and then has spent the last like 15 years building his business into like a home building business, and that's what he does. But anyway, I was working for him there. He had these, you know, he works on these beautiful oceanfront homes, and there's thousands and thousands of dollars worth of cedar wood that just goes in the dumpster because it was like 6 feet long instead of 7 feet or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just like huge pieces of wood that I'd be like, you know, I would pay hundreds of dollars for. So anyway, I started digging through the dumpster and grabbing nice pieces of cedar, and I glued up some cedar. My friend Tim told me about this guy, John Wegner, that was making these Elias surfboards, and all they are is a plank of wood. And I was like, get out of here. That sounds easy to make. And I was like, had never really even seen one of his, had heard it described. And I made an Elias. And it turned out that it went like a million miles an hour and totally worked. And I was like, it was awesome. And then that it cracked in half one day, and I stitched it back together, and I rode it for another year, and I wound up like just being completely blown away. I was like, Elias are so cool. This is the coolest thing. Like this is it for me. Like this is a surfing and woodworking all at the same time. This is the culmination of like my two passions, right? And I was like, cool. But I was like, they're so hard to ride. There's so much work. It's like takes like you got to be like freaking merman to like be able to paddle one and everything. And it was like never really caught on.
I think
exactly, but I kept on.
It takes a lot. You're swimming a coffee table out into the lineup. Essentially, it's like it just get it on plane. You got to be moving.
Yeah, totally. You're swimming yourself and trying to like guide a coffee table underneath your body with your chin and your chest, essentially. Like that's my take on it.
And they work. I think I went out one day with your buddy, and we had a fun time with a little like shore break session. Where was that? That was at your photographer friend.
That was with Matt Catalano.
No.
That was with Matt Catalano.
I'm thinking about
Richard
with your buddy who's the director.
Kyle.
Yeah. And that I thought they were fantastic. They worked, but it was a ton of work.
So, yeah, I mean that's all there is. But,
yeah. But
but those boards, I started shaping those surfboards and riding them myself, and then it was like, then I put the butterfly in one, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like it needed the butterfly, and then it was like I built another one. Somebody asked me to make them one, or like maybe like a Pipo or something, and I was like, I put one of my butterflies in the deck, and I was like, oh, that's like nobody else has butterflies in their Alaya, like you know what I mean, like that's so neato. And I started making them like that, like started kind of thinking like I'm like pre-strengthening my Elias, because the Elias snap long ways, like because you go to stand up and you have your knee in the middle and your hand on the rails and you have a long strip of wood, you're like snap, they snap long way. So I would add like stabilizers laterally, like sideways stringers kind of. Mm-hmm. And that was like an epiphany for me. And then I just started making them like straight square rails, like straight across like that, to keep the boards from snapping in half. And then I started once I did that, then I started like doing like cool paint jobs that like kind of matched the stripes. And I would do that with like this milk paint that's like a cool like natural folk paint that I think I use it all the time. I use it. It's like my favorite way to paint something. But like I started doing that, and I started kind of stylizing these Elias, and then people started buying the Elias. I don't think I've sold the two of them to people that have ridden them, and I've sold like a dozen of them to people that just bought them to hang on their wall. And then I was like, oh, like they're like art pieces, and I'm like, I don't really think they are art pieces. I mean, like as much as like putting an airbrush on a surfboard is an art job, is like an art piece, but then I'm like, I don't know, they're woodwork, there's like joinery, there's woodwork, there's shaping,
and they work
the
a lot of
paint
fun.
job, and the paint job's like kind of like a more graphic, like shapes and stuff like that. Like they're not set.
I've ridden a Wegner. I've ridden your boards, and I find that Wegners are more user friendly. Yours are more performance based. I've always found yours like once I got up on the thing, was going down the line, I could do more with what you were shaping. So if that means anything, I don't know. But
yeah. And that's what, like, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, even the ones that I made for people that like were just like, I'm never gonna ride this thing. Like, I spent way too many hours worrying about like the concave in the bottom of the thing for something knowing full well that it was never going to touch the water, like, you know.
yeah.
But I that's, to me, it's like absolutely imperative that it be something that was made with the intention that it, like, for the purpose, like, you know what I mean, like, to make a surfboard that you're never going to surf on and wouldn't work if you tried to. That's like a freaking, you know, like Bush surfboards like hanging in the liquor store, like, you know what I mean, like, or like the Coors Light Silver Bullet, like, inflatable surfboard, like, you know, like, who gives a shit? Like, it's like, this is like not like, just because it's roughly the same shape and size, it doesn't make it of any value whatsoever. So I, like, for me, if I'm making an Alaya, and I still make them, like, I just sold one recently, and I was like, crazy, people still want them. Like, they're you know, they're, but the people don't want them to ride. Alaya surfing is dead, but Alaya hanging is alive and well.
So is there, I mean, I'm kind of trying to figure out a bit of the woods that you work with. Is there any one wood that you like to work with? Because I know you work with a lot of reclaimed wood, but if you were to choose any wood that you like to work with, what would be your favorite?
I'd probably just say walnut. Like, walnut's so nice. It's like, it shapes it sands so perfectly, and it's like it colors so nicely, and like it's the beautiful chocolate brown, you know, like the dark brown, and you can turn it jet black if you want, and that's like my favorite with wood. Like, anything, like, I've been on, if woodworking has been a quest, for the last 15 years, wood finishing is also a separate but equal quest, you know. And like, learning the different ways to turn wood black has been like like my mission. Like, blacks, but like turning something like actually truly black is like my favorite. But wood tone, walnut, maybe white oak, though. White oaks look beautiful also, especially when combined with the color black. I don't know, but there's so many. I mean, like, red cedar is gorgeous, and redwood is insanely beautiful. But like, you know, how often will you get a chance to
I gotta call Chris out on this question. I feel like it's kind of like a Klein blue question. Like, you know, if you ask somebody who like paints, like, well, what color do you like? Come on.
Yeah, there's more to it than like the color, though. Like wood has, like, you know, like, wood is color, and then wood has, like, hey, Luna,
Say hi to Ben, Luna. Hi, Uncle Ben. And that's Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Right, Mommy's gonna now, okay?
So yeah, but like, wood has color, but wood has grain, and wood has like density and like flexibility. There's like so much more to it than like, say, like, what color. Like, yes, ultimately it will decide what color it is, but you can also turn it other colors. Like, and certain woods turn differently, and turn, you know, some won't ever turn black. And yeah, so it is kind of a weak question in Chris's, and then it also isn't.
I understand where the question was coming from, but I was also like, man, like, I don't know. But do we want to backtrack and talk a little bit more about surfing now? This past year is pretty good for you because you got one of the better waves that people got on film.
Yeah, that was cool.
You know, it's kind of an interesting thing, like coming from the East Coast and kind of chasing waves. We always look for that big, you know, sort of barrel